It's a hockey show. I'm the Trev. It's too sweet. Anyway, expansion draft's over. Trade freeze is officially lifted. And now we can focus on the draft. Before I do that, though, I should mention Seattle made their first trade in history today, trading Tyler Pitlick to Calgary for a fourth. So that's all said and done out of the way. But anyway, before the draft rolls around and before I completely forget the opportunity to at least try and do some kind of video on it, I figure I'm going to at least try my hand at predicting. This isn't a mock, this is an actual prediction. I'm going to predict the top 5, not the whole first round, just the top 5. Let's see how that pans out, and I'll talk a bit about them, see what I think necessitates why they're going where they're going. But anyway, here's my predictions. Before I begin, it's safe to note 1 through 7, in my mind anyway, could go either way. I think number 1 might be solid, not a guaranteed lock, but definitely a solid. Number 2, I think is going to stay number 2. 3 to 5, I think, is where my predictions differentiate from a lot of the mock drafts I've seen, a lot of the mock drafts I've read and listened to. But hear me out. Let's talk about it. And I've heard rumblings to the contrary, but I think overall, at the end of the day, Owen Power is still going number 1. And why not? Big 6'6" defenseman who has a great two-way upside. He's mobile. I mean, he's not going to be your franchise player, but he is going to be a solid brick if you can utilize him right. Whether or not he stays another year in Michigan, that's another argument for another time, but either way, I think Power is going to be your solid consensus number 1 in a year where it could be anybody, and I'd be surprised if it was anybody else. It's pretty much safe to say it's a solid bet. For number 2, I think Seattle's taking Matthew Beniers. It makes a lot of sense to do it. I mean, if you're going to mold and market your franchise player, or at least a young early star that you want on your team, Beniers might be the way to go. I mean, he's an American, so that helps too. But he can push the pace at any point that he wants to. He's a great two-way player. He's responsible. He's a great skater. And the kind of playmaker that Seattle could need to go on a first line with whoever, or if you want to start him on the second line, that'd be even better too. But either way, his playmaking ability will be an asset for the Kraken. Where to begin? Anaheim needs a lot of things. A lot of things. They need another goalie for Gibson. He's gonna get burnt out in no time fast. But I think ultimately they're gonna take William Eklund at number 3. He's not the biggest. He's not gonna impose his will on you, but he is a solid, above average skater. I mean, you give him the puck at the right time, it's as good as in. I mean, he was playing amongst men in Sweden and putting up solid numbers there, so you'd be wrong not to take this and then work your way down. And maybe, just maybe, I'm going to be back in a playoff mix at some point. I didn't want to go with the obvious, but I'm going to, because I'm pretty sure New Jersey's going to take Luke Hughes at number 4. The temptation of putting him with his brother is just too great. And the fact that he's a gifted passer, and New Jersey's going to have a big defense problem once that contract of Subban's expires at the end of the year, provided they manage to get rid of it at some point before the season. But they're going to need stable defensemen. who better to have on your team than Jack's brother? If that's the way it goes, it could be good things for Jersey. I mean, who knows? This could be the season where they are on the upswing. But time will tell, right? Columbus is a lot like Anaheim in a few ways. They need a lot of things. And with Jones saying publicly he's going to test free agency, they want something fast. So the biggest thing they're going to need is defense. In which case, they're going to take Simon Edvinsson out of Sweden. Another big defenseman, 6'5", 207 pounds, with above average mobility. So for a big guy, he's a big mover. And that's a great thing because you're going to want a puck-moving defenseman. Whether or not he turns into an offensive defenseman, that remains to be seen. But it'd be a solid bet or a solid pick for the Blue Jackets to make, especially, like I said, they're going to have this big hole in defense that, someone of the Seth Jones caliber is going to have to fill, and hopefully soon. That's me predicting the top 5. But let me know what you think. Am I out to lunch? Am I missing the mark? Am I right on it? I don't know. I mean, ultimately we'll find out tomorrow, right? But I'm happy with that top 5, or at least with that 5 predictions. And I'm not going to say I'm going to bet money on it going exactly that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went exactly that way. But again, I hope it's not that predictable. We'll see, right? So that was another one of Trev's hockey shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you're at this point. That's a great thing for both of us. So while you're here, hit that like button. If you want, that red button that says subscribe, if you haven't hit it already, hit the thing. Subscribe makes you feel good. So let's do it up. All my socials, they're in the description down below. Let's move forward. With this being my prediction, obviously I'm going to have a reaction when the draft is over. So there's that. There's a couple more that I meant to do today that I just didn't get to, but they're coming sometime this weekend. But either way, in the meantime, in between time, if you're looking for more beers from the Trev, data.